The muddy water hit him before he could move. 1 second, Isaac was checking project specs on his tablet under the cafe awning. The next, a speeding Camry sent a sheet of brown rainwater arcing through the air, drenching his crisp white shirt, his leather shoes, his carefully maintained composure. These Abuja drivers, he hissed, staring down at himself in disbelief. His tablet, miraculously, had survived. His dignity, not so much. He stood there, dripping, annoyed, resigned to the fact that Lagos had traffic but Abuja had reckless puddle assassins, when a voice, soft and genuinely concerned, broke through his frustration. "Oh no, are you okay?" He turned. And the rain, the ruined shirt, the chaos of the city, all of it dissolved. She stood just a few feet away, holding a sleek leather folder above her head like an improvised umbrella. Raindrops clung to her dark curls, catching the grey afternoon light. Her navy blue suit fit her like confidence tailored into fabric. A gold wristwatch gleamed subtly at her wrist. But it wasn't the outfit. It was the way she carried herself, poised without arrogance, elegant without effort. The kind of woman who walked into boardrooms and made men forget their talking points. And her perfume, faint, expensive, floral, jasmine kissed by rain. Isaac blinked, suddenly aware he was staring. I'm fine, he managed, brushing uselessly at his soaked shirt. She stepped closer, rifling through her bag with practiced efficiency, and produced a small packet of tissues. "Here." She handed it to him with a soft smile. Abuja drivers think puddles are decorations. A surprised laugh escaped him. "You noticed that too?" Hard not to. Her eyes sparkled with restrained amusement. "I've been dodging them all morning." He took the tissue, their fingers brushing briefly, a fleeting touch that somehow lasted longer than it should have. Thunder rumbled overhead. The rain intensified, hammering the awning above them. She glanced up at the darkening sky, then back at the cafe door. "I don't think this is stopping anytime soon." Isaac followed her gaze. "No. Definitely not." A pause. Then she smiled, warm, disarming, unexpected. "Want to wait it out inside? I could use some coffee anyway." He should have said no. He had reports to file, calls to make, a return trip to Zaria to prepare for. But something in the moment, maybe the rain, maybe her smile, maybe the strange electricity humming between them, made him nod. "Yeah, coffee sounds good." Inside the cafe. They claimed a corner table near the window, where rain streaked down the glass in silver rivers. The cafe smelled like roasted beans and warm bread. Soft jazz played in the background, something smooth, something that made conversation feel inevitable. She set her folder down, smoothed her jacket, and extended a hand across the table. "Rebecca." "Isaac Musa." He shook her hand, firm, professional, but charged with something neither acknowledged aloud. "So, Isaac Musa." She leaned back slightly, studying him with quiet curiosity. "What brings you to Abuja? Business or pleasure?" "Business," he said, relaxing into his seat. "I'm an electrical engineer. Rural electrification projects, mostly up north. Zaria, specifically." Her eyebrows lifted. "Zaria. You know it." A slow smile spread across her face. "I grew up there." Isaac laughed, a genuine, surprised sound. "No way." "Yes way," she said, grinning now. "Small world." "Too small," he agreed. "What are the odds?" "In Nigeria. Higher than you'd think." She sipped her coffee, eyes dancing. "So what brought you all the way down here?" "Meetings. Proposals. Trying to convince people with money to care about people without power." He shrugged. "The usual fight." She nodded slowly, respect flickering in her expression. "That's noble work." "It's necessary work," he corrected gently. "Noble makes it sound optional." Rebecca tilted her head, reassessing him. "I like that answer." "And you?" Isaac asked. "What do you do when you're not rescuing wet strangers with tissues?" She laughed, a sound like wind chimes, light and unexpected. "Project management. NGO work. Sustainable development. Mostly. I'm here for a conference. Let me guess, Isaac said, leaning forward slightly. You're the one keeping everything running while everyone else takes credit. Her smile softened. You've worked with NGOs before. Enough to know who the real MVPs are. They spoke for hours, losing track of time, and somehow the conversation never felt forced. They spoke about faith, the wrestling with God kind. About calling versus career. About trying to make a difference in a country determined to break you. Isaac told her about the villages he'd wired for electricity, the way children studied under bulbs for the first time, the way a grandmother cried because she could finally see her Bible clearly at night. Rebecca told him about clean water projects in rural communities, about mothers who no longer had to walk 5 kilometers for drinking water, about hope returning to places the world had forgotten. They laughed about Abuja traffic, Lagos hustle, and the unique chaos of Nigerian weddings. The rain slipped away unnoticed, its work already done. When Rebecca finally glanced at her phone, her eyes widened. Oh no, I have a session in 20 minutes. Isaac checked his watch. 2 hours had passed. 2 hours. They both stood, reluctant, the weight of unfinished conversation hanging between them. At the door, she turned to him. This was unexpected, she said softly. The best things usually are, Isaac replied. The moment lingered. Then she smiled, small, shy, hopeful. We should stay in touch. Definitely. They exchanged numbers. Promises tumbled out, to call, to text, to keep in touch, desperate to hold on to a moment slipping away. They tried. For a while. But as weeks turned into months, messages became shorter, then silent. The promises they'd exchanged dissolved slowly, claimed by distance and the relentless march of daily life. Rebecca's work grew demanding, deadlines, meetings, flights across Africa. Isaac buried himself in projects, church, and quiet nights of prayer. Yet every time it rained, both thought about that cafe. Isaac didn't believe in signs. He believed in hard work, answered prayers, and the occasional miracle, but not signs. Not the kind that made poets write about fate and destiny. Until the conference in Kaduna. He hadn't even planned to attend. The invitation arrived late, forwarded by a colleague who couldn't make it. Faith-driven leadership in development, the kind of event that sounded important but usually meant sitting through PowerPoints while fighting sleep. But something nudged him. A quiet insistence he couldn't name. Go. So he went. The conference hall, mid-morning. The auditorium buzzed with the controlled chaos of professionals networking. Lanyards swinging, business cards exchanging hands, the low hum of ambition and opportunity colliding. Isaac found a seat near the middle, far enough to avoid the front row pressure, close enough to actually hear. He settled in, flipping through the program. Keynote speaker, Rebecca Bello, project management and sustainable development. His heart stopped. Then restarted, hard, fast, unsteady. Rebecca. His Rebecca. No, not his. She'd never been his. Just, the woman from the cafe. The one he'd thought about more than he should have. The one whose number still sat in his phone, untouched for 2 years. He told himself it was a common name. Nigeria had thousands of Rebeccas. This was probably someone else. The lights dimmed. A woman stepped onto the stage. And Isaac's breath left him in one sharp, silent rush. She commanded the room without trying. Rebecca walked to the podium with the kind of quiet authority that didn't need introduction. She wore a soft cream dress that skimmed her frame elegantly, her hair swept into a low, professional bun. A delicate gold necklace caught the stage lights. But it wasn't the dress. It wasn't even her poise. It was the presence, the way she owned the space without demanding it, the way silence fell naturally when she began to speak. Good morning, she said, her voice warm, clear, steady. I want to start with a question. How many of us have ever felt like quitting? A ripple of nervous laughter spread through the audience. Her smile softened. Good. Then you're in the right place. Isaac sat frozen, heart hammering, unable to look away. She spoke about resilience. About faith in the face of failure. About projects that collapsed and communities that rose anyway. Her words weren't rehearsed, they were lived. Every sentence carried weight, experience, Scars. And her smile, God, that smile, still had the power to make the world tilt. Halfway through her talk, Rebecca scanned the audience, making eye contact the way good speakers do, connecting, engaging. Her gaze swept across the middle rows. And stopped. Isaac felt it the second their eyes met across the room. Her composure flickered, soft, brief, but unmistakable in the sudden pause between her words. Her sentence stumbled, then she smoothly redirected her attention elsewhere, pretending she hadn't seen him. But the truth had already escaped. She was rattled. The air between them thickened, charged with 2 years of silence, unanswered questions, and a connection neither had forgotten. After the session, Isaac told himself to leave. Just go. Don't make this awkward. She's clearly moved on. You've moved on. Walk away. But his feet didn't obey. He lingered near the hallway outside the conference room, pretending to check his phone, heart pounding like a guilty teenager. People streamed past, delegates, organizers, vendors. He scanned every face, waiting, hoping, dreading. Isaac. The voice came from behind him. He turned slowly. And there she was. Up close, without the stage lights, without the podium between them, just her. Rebecca stood a few feet away, leather folder tucked under one arm, eyes wide with the same shock he felt. Rebecca, he managed, his voice rougher than intended. A beat of silence, heavy, electric, impossible to break. Then she smiled, small, uncertain, but unmistakably warm. I thought that was you, she said softly. In the audience. I wasn't sure if I was imagining it. You weren't, Isaac said. I'm here. Still standing by cafes when it rains? She asked, lightly laughing. He smiled, shaking his head. Only if it means seeing familiar faces. They both laughed, a little awkwardly, a little nervously, like two people pretending time hadn't done what it did. I see that. Her fingers tightened slightly on the folder. How long has it been? 2 years. The words came out before he could stop them. 2 years, 3 months. Her eyes flickered with something unreadable. You counted. He didn't deny it. Another silence, this one thicker, heavier, full of everything they hadn't said. Rebecca cleared her throat gently. You look well. So do you. He paused. Better than well. That was an incredible session. A faint blush touched her cheeks. Thank you. I didn't know you'd be here. Last-minute decision, Isaac admitted. Colleague couldn't make it. I almost didn't come. I'm glad you did. The sincerity in her voice caught him off guard. He searched her face, looking for what, he wasn't sure. Regret. Longing. Closure. What he found was warmth. And something fragile, tentative, like a door left slightly ajar. Do you have a few minutes? Isaac asked, surprising himself. Rebecca hesitated, glancing at her phone. I have, maybe 20 minutes before the next session. That's enough. They found a quiet bench outside, beneath the shade of a sprawling neem tree. The afternoon sun filtered through the leaves in soft, golden patches. The air smelled like fresh grass and distant rain. Rebecca sat carefully, smoothing her dress. Isaac settled beside her, close enough to feel the warmth of her presence, far enough to respect the distance 2 years had built. So, she began, voice light, careful. 2 years. What have you been up to? Work, mostly. He smiled faintly. Still in Zoria. Still chasing power lines across villages. Still dreaming too big for my budget. She laughed, a soft, genuine sound that made his chest ache. That sounds exactly like you. And you, he asked. Jet-setting across Africa, changing lives. Something like that. She looked down at her hands. Accra, Nairobi, Kigali. I've spent more time in airports than in my own bed. Sounds exhausting. It is. She met his gaze. But fulfilling. There was an awkward silence between them that seems to stretch to eternity. Then Isaac asked the question that had haunted him for 2 years. Why didn't we stay in touch? Rebecca's smile faded. She looked away, toward the horizon, her expression distant. I don't know, she said quietly. Life got busy. Messages got shorter. And then, I think we both just let it slip away. I didn't want to, Isaac said, voice low but firm. I thought about calling. 100 times. She turned to him, eyes glistening. Why didn't you? I didn't think you'd answer. The honesty hung between them, raw, vulnerable, unguarded. Rebecca's throat worked as she swallowed. I would have. Isaac's heart clenched. Would you answer now? He asked softly. She blinked, confused. What? If I asked you to lunch, he said, holding her gaze. Right now. Would you say yes? Rebecca stared at him, searching, weighing, feeling. Then she smiled, small, tentative, but real. I have a flight back to Abuja this evening. Isaac's hope flickered. But, she continued, I could push it. If the lunch is worth it. Relief flooded through him. I'll make it worth it. They went to a small booker nearby, nothing fancy, just jollof rice, grilled chicken, and cold chapman. The kind of place where conversations mattered more than ambience. And they talked. About everything. About nothing. About the 2 years they'd lost and the wounds they'd both carried. Rebecca told him about projects that failed, donors who pulled out, nights she cried in hotel rooms far from home. Isaac told him about villages that rejected his help, bureaucrats who stole funds, the quiet exhaustion of trying to save a country that didn't always want saving. They laughed about old inside jokes. They mourned missed opportunities. They discovered new layers of each other, deeper, richer, more vulnerable than before. And somewhere between the laughter and the honesty, something shifted. This wasn't nostalgia. This was recognition. Isaac drove her to the airport. They stood in the departure hall, the noise of travelers swirling around them, but all Isaac could hear was the pounding of his own heart. Rebecca, he said, stepping closer. I don't know what this is. But I don't want to lose it again. She looked up at him, eyes soft, guarded, hopeful. Neither do I, she whispered. Then let's not, Isaac said. Let's see where this goes. Slowly, carefully, but intentionally. Rebecca's lips curved into a smile, the kind that reached her eyes, that warmed her entire face. Okay, she said. Let's try. And this time, they didn't let go. Calls turned into visits, visits into prayers together over the phone, and prayers into something deeper, not rushed, not forced, just steady. They built something real, the kind of love that didn't need to prove itself loud. One evening, Isaac invited Rebecca to Zaria for a community outreach his team organized. After the event, as the sun began to set, he asked if they could stop by a small place before she left. It was quiet, simple, renovated but still smelling of roasted coffee and rain. As they sat by the window, Isaac slid a small velvet box across the table. Rebecca's eyes widened. Isaac. He smiled, voice soft. You once said God writes better stories than we do. I think this, he gestured between them, is proof. Tears filled her eyes. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything, he said. It took me a while to understand that sometimes God hides his best gifts behind waiting. And when he remembers, he makes it beautiful. She swallowed hard, tears spilling freely. Yes, Isaac. Yes. Rebecca returned to Abuja glowing a quiet, steady joy she couldn't hide even if she tried. Her mother noticed immediately when she walked into the living room. Rebecca, you're shining like someone who has seen an angel, her mother teased, smiling up at her. Rebecca laughed shyly. Mummy, I'm engaged. Her mother's smile faltered for a moment. Her father lowered his glasses. Engaged? He echoed. In minutes, the house came alive, excitement, questions, laughter, prayers. They sat her down, eager to hear everything. What is his name? Where is he from? What does he do? Who are his people? Rebecca shared it all, the Cafe Rain story, the reconnect ion, the growth, the proposal. Her parents nodded along, smiling with pride. Then her father asked the next question. When can we meet him? Rebecca's heart warmed. Soon. He can come this weekend. They agreed. Plans were made. The atmosphere was joyful. They were happy for what God was doing in their lives. When Isaac arrived that Saturday, he came with the calm dignity he always carried. A simple but well-ironed shirt. Clean shoes. A warm smile. The kind of presence that didn't shout wealth or status, it whispered character. Rebecca greeted him at the gate with a tight, reassuring hug. "You'll be fine," she whispered. "I'm right here." Inside, her parents welcomed him politely, warm enough to be courteous, but not warm enough to be accepting. The kind of politeness Nigerian parents use when they are observing, calculating. "Welcome, my son," her father said. "Feel at home," her mother added. They served him snacks first, then small talk followed about weather, Abuja traffic, his journey, work. It was cordial. Until it wasn't. Her father leaned forward, clasping his hands. "So, Isaac, tell us about yourself." Isaac spoke gently but confidently. "I am an electrical engineer. I work with a rural electrification initiative in Zaria. I also serve in my church's youth mentorship program." Rebecca's parents nodded slowly. Her mother cut in, smiling politely. "Zaria, that is in Kaduna State, right?" "Yes, Ma," he replied. Her father removed his glasses again, a sign Rebecca recognized too well. "And where do you live there? Your own house? Or a rented apartment?" "A modest rented apartment, sir. I'm currently planning to build in the next few years." There was a silence that seems to stretch longer than necessary as Rebecca's parents processed the information at their disposal. Her mother exchanged a glance with her husband. "And your finances?" her father asked carefully. "What is your range of income? We want to understand what stability you can provide." Isaac answered honestly, not exaggerating, not pretending, just truth. The disappointment on their faces was immediate, though politely hidden. Her mother gave a tight smile. "So you don't have investments? No property? No land? No established business?" Isaac swallowed, still respectful. "No, ma. Not yet. I am taking steps by God's grace." Another cold silence stretched again. Rebecca felt the shift like a slap. After a few more strained questions, her father cleared his throat. "My son, we appreciate your honesty. Truly. And you seem like a good Christian." Her mother nodded. "A very good Christian. Calm. Respectful." "We are Christian too. But," her father's voice dropped, firm but controlled, "we don't think you are the right fit for our daughter." Isaac blinked as though he expected resistance, but not this level. Her mother continued, hands folded gracefully on her lap. "Rebecca is above this level. She has worked hard, she is exposed, she is in a different class. She deserves someone who matches that. Someone financially established. Someone living here in Abuja. Not Zaria." They said the city's name like it was a problem to be solved. Her father added quietly, "We are not saying you are not a good man. But sometimes, good is not enough. Our daughter cannot marry into a life of struggle." Rebecca gasped. "Mummy, Daddy, what does that even mean?" Her mother lifted a hand. "Rebecca, please. Let us finish." Then she turned back to Isaac. "You are hardworking, yes. But you have not reached where a man who wants to marry our daughter should be. And we cannot allow her to marry beneath her class." Isaac inhaled slowly, hurt flickering in his eyes, but dignity holding him together. "Yes, sir. Yes, Ma. I understand," he said softly. Rebecca's father delivered the final blow. "We wish you well. But you cannot marry our daughter." Rebecca stood abruptly. "No. This is not fair. You don't even know him." "We know enough," her mother said sharply. Her father added, "And love, my dear, is not enough to survive in this world. You need stability, structure, vision. He does not have that yet." Rebecca's voice trembled. "He has character. He has faith. He has purpose. Isn't that what matters?" Her mother shook her head. "Character without capacity leads to suffering, Rebecca. And we will not watch you suffer in marriage." The room fell into heavy silence. Isaac finally stood, steadying himself. "Sir, Ma," he said gently, "thank you for your honesty. I respect your decision. And if God wills it, He will make a way." He bowed slightly, but before he turned to leave, her father said quietly, "Isaac, you are a good man. But not for her."